Someone left this comment on my Instagram. I visited beautiful Thailand on 4 occasions last year. I'm completely obsessed with the country. I'm even learning the language so that I can live there ASAP. Now, let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar to you? Because if it does, you already know what this video is about. สวัสดีครับ Welcome to Thai Decoded. I'm Thanong, I'm Swiss Thai, and I decode what Thailand reveals about you. Some people love Thailand so much they come back several times a year and spend thousands of dollars on plane tickets. At some point, you start asking yourself, why do I keep doing that? If that sounds like you, there's a good chance you have already had this thought. What if I just left everything behind and move to Thailand? In this video, I'm going to explain exactly why Thailand makes you feel this way. And by the end, you will understand yourself a little bit better. Because this feeling might actually be the key to knowing whether you'll leave your country in the next few years or not. Stay until the end, because we're also going to figuring out together whether this is a temporary feeling or whether it's actually time to do something about it. Okay, think about the last time you tried to change something in your life back home. A new habit, a new project, a new direction, and think about how hard it was. Not because you didn't want it, but because everything around you kept pulling you back. The same people, the same streets, the same routine, the same version of yourself that everyone expected to see every morning at work. If you watched my previous episodes, you already know I've talked about Kathy's book before, and that's because her research applies perfectly to Thailand. Her research at the University of Pennsylvania found that 36% of successful life changes happen when people physically move somewhere new. Not when they decide to change, not when they make a plan, when they actually go somewhere new. She called this the fresh start effect. When you move to a new place, your brain starts to let go of your old habits, your old identity, and your old way of seeing yourself. And suddenly, change doesn't feel impossible anymore. It feels natural. And Thailand is one of the most powerful fresh start environments on the planet. Because when you arrive here, nothing is the same. The culture, the weather, the way people connect, even the way people say hello is completely different from what you know. Your brain has no choice but to adapt. You can't be the same person here. It doesn't work. And that's exactly when things become clear. What you actually want, how you actually want to live, who you actually want to be. And that kind of clarity is rare. Most people back home never get the time or the space to feel it. But here is the thing. It only works if you are ready to let go. And that's not easy because what's holding you back is not always your old routine. Sometimes it's your friends. Sometimes it's your family. The people you love the most can also be the ones keeping you stuck in an old version of yourself. That's hard to admit, but if you want that fresh start, you may have to step away. It's a choice only you can make. Either you stay who you are or you become who you want to be. Now, I want to show you something that you probably won't be able to unsee after this. This is my favorite book. Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, who won the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2002 for his work on how people actually make decisions. I'm going to use his work for the rest of this video because several of the mechanisms he discovered apply perfectly to what happens when you spend time in Thailand. In his book, he showed that your brain never judges your life by itself. It always compares. Always. He called this the reference point. The reference point is the standard your brain uses to decide whether something is good or bad, better or worse. And here is the key things about reference points. They shift. They are not fixed. They change based on what you experience. Picture this. Before you came to Thailand, your reference point was your life in the West. That was your normal, your baseline. A decent meal costs 15 euros. A good apartment costs $1,000 a month. Finding something fun to do in the evening required planning and effort. Now, think about here. You can eat well every single day for almost nothing. You walk out of your building and there's always something happening around you until late at night. People smile at you before you even open your mouth. The pace feels human, the food feels real, the cost of a good life feels completely different. And without realizing it, your reference point shifted. Your brain recalibrated what normal means, what a good day feels like, what quality of life actually is. And now, when you go back to the West, your brain compares everything to this new reference point. And the West starts losing. Not because the West became worse. Nothing changed back home. Life there stayed exactly the same. But because your brain now has a different standard, now it can't go back to the old one. This is probably why you sit at your desk at work and feel like something is wrong. Your reference point changed, and your life in the West is no longer satisfying enough. Daniel also shows something that feels counterintuitive at first. He proved that humans are wired to fear loss more than desire gain. We work harder to avoid losing something than to gain something new. He called this loss aversion. The pain of losing something is roughly twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining the same thing. That's crazy. Normally, this is what keeps you in your old life. The fear of losing your job, your stability, your social network, your comfort is stronger than the desire to gain something new. And that fear is rational. That fear keeps most people exactly where they are. It's not weakness, it's your brain doing exactly what it was designed to: protect what you already have. But here is what Thailand does. It reverses the equation. Once Thailand becomes your reference point, once you have felt what this life feels like, going back to the West starts to feel like the loss. Not the other way around. You are not afraid of losing your old life anymore. You are afraid of losing this one, which means this version of yourself, this way of living, this feeling of being alive. And that's when the risk calculation changes. Staying in the West starts to feel like the dangerous choice because you already know what you're missing. You have already lived it, and that knowledge doesn't go away. It sits in the back of your mind every single day until the thought becomes a real question. What would it actually take to leave everything behind? Okay, this one is the one nobody talks about, but it might be the most powerful of all. Daniel calls it the sunk cost effect. Every time you come to Thailand, you invest. Not just money. You invest emotionally. You build memories here. You build friendships. You build a version of yourself that only exists here. You have your routine, your favorite coffee shop, that shortcut home that only you know about. Without realizing it, you have your own life here. And the more you discover, the more you invest emotionally, and the more it becomes almost impossible to walk away. This mechanism applies not just to money, but to time, to energy, and most powerfully, to emotional investment. And with Thailand, it's not irrational at all, because what you have built here is real. It's a real version of your life. It's a real version of yourself. The friendships are real. The memories are real. The person you became here is real. And every time you leave that version of yourself behind. And your brain, my friend, knows it. And it feels like a loss every single time. Like closing a door on a life that was starting to feel like yours. And that's exactly why someone like the person in that comment at the beginning of this video keeps coming back. He said he came to Thailand 4 times in 1 year. That's 4 round trips, thousands of dollars, and he's also learning the language. Every time he comes back here, his emotional investment grows a little more. And the more it grows, the harder it becomes to stop. At some point, it's not really a choice anymore. It just becomes the only thing that makes sense. So now you know, somewhere new, reference point, loss aversion, sunk cost. 4 psychological mechanisms that explain why Thailand makes you want to leave everything behind. But here is the real question. Why does Thailand feel more alive than the place you grew up in? Here is my theory. In the West, everything is optimized. The roads are flat. The rules are clear. The system works. And that optimization is impressive, but it comes with a cost that nobody talks about. When everything is perfect, there is no chaos. And when there is no chaos, there is no space. No space to deviate, no space to improvise, no space to be something other than what the system expects. Thailand is not optimized. The sidewalk is cracked. The rules are flexible. Nothing is guaranteed. And that's not a flaw. That's actually the point, because when everything is too smooth, too clean, too perfectly planned, there is no space left for you to exist outside of what the system already decided for you. In the West, the road is so flat and so straight that there's only one way to walk it. Here, the cracks on the road are what force you to take a different street, a different path home. And on that path, you discover something you never would have found on the straight road. That's what I think leaving everything behind is really about, the feeling that there is another way and you found a place where that's actually possible. So, what do you actually do with this feeling? First, don't romanticize it. Thailand in real life is different from Thailand in your head. The visa process is complicated. The language barrier is real. And building a life here requires a completely different set of skills than what you used back in the West. I actually wrote a book about exactly that, and when it's available, I'll let you know. Second, I would say test it before you commit. Not as a tourist, get a 1-year student visa and come to Bangkok. Try to actually live here, build a routine, and most importantly, try to make money online. while you're here. Because without income, nothing works. If you can't figuring out how to earn remotely, that's already a clear signal that you are not ready to make the move. And that's okay, but you need to know that before you move. And sometimes the answer is not to move. Sometimes what you are really looking for isn't Thailand. It's just a different way of living, more freedom, more human connection, more space to be yourself. And maybe that's possible where you already are. You just haven't tried yet. Take what Thailand taught you and try to bring it back home first. Change the way you live before you change the country you live in. Living here might not look like what you imagine, but you won't know until you have tried both. Okay, one question before you leave. What is the moment in Thailand that made you want to leave everything behind and move here? Tell me in the comments because your answer might help someone else understand what they are feeling right now. Take care of yourself. ไว้เจอกันนะครับ